Well, howdy again, BookTube. Hope you're all doing well. It's extremely hot here today, I have to say. I feel like I might be in the Old West rather than Central Europe. Yeah, we're roasting. Um, anyway, I'm coming to you today with a tag. Yes, it's been a while. It's been a while, obviously, since I've been making regular videos. 2 in 2 days. That's doing, yeah, it's quite good at the moment, eh? We'll see how long it lasts. But yeah, I'm coming to you with a tag, and the tag's created by the one and only Steve Donahue, and it's the Rootin Tootin June on the range tag. Yeah, I won't do the accent, probably. I don't really have much of a cowboy accent. There be gold in them dar hills. No, that doesn't work, does it? Anyway, so let's do the tag. It's great fun, and even if I don't tag you, I encourage you to do it. So the first prompt there, a ways out west. Have you ever been to the American West? Now, Steve did define it, but it's beyond me, American geography, really. I believe I have, because I've been to Nevada and not Las Vegas, actually. Other parts of Nevada. It's Carson City I was in. And now I'm trying to remember because I visited the Ponderosa Ranch, which was like a Wild West bonanza theme park. And I can't remember if that was just in California or just over the border in Nevada. It might have been in Nevada, which is the reason we went there. But that was great fun. But it's really the only part of the American West I've been to. I don't think California counts. I mean, I know it's on the West Coast, but is it really the Wild West? I don't know. Maybe parts of it. I'm not sure. But I think Nevada counts, especially if I went to the Ponderosa Ranch, right? So that must count for something, right? So yeah, that's about the way out west, I think, in terms of America. I've been most of the time I've been to the south and to the east coast and New England. But yeah, once I did that. I've been to Western Canada as well, but I guess Canada doesn't count as the range, although it's more kind of frontiersville, perhaps. Number two, Dry Gulch. What's the smallest town you've ever visited, and how small is your town right now? Well, this is difficult in some ways. I don't really know the smallest town I've ever visited. I mean, I grew up in Bermuda, and obviously, the town, towns maybe just St. George, I suppose, are really small. But I did visit Japan's smallest city with around 3,000 people called Utashinai, and that's in Hokkaido, and it's officially classified as a city, although it is, as I say, the smallest one. And I've been also to the Czech Republic's smallest town, which is Solnica, which is in Královéhradecký kraj, in the area I live, and it's got around 2,000 people, and it's kind of maybe not known by the name Solnica, but right next to it there's a village called Kvasiny, and it's like one of the main manufacturing hubs for Skoda cars. So yeah, there you go. And the town I live in right now is around nine and a half thousand inhabitants. However, when I move to this village, at some point there will be something like 130 inhabitants plus one. So yeah, that would be kind of cool. Number three, where the buffalo roam. Have you ever seen an American bison in person? I don't remember seeing an American bison, if by American we mean from the USA, but I have seen Canadian bison, whether or not that's the same thing, but I have seen those in Western Canada. I may have seen an American bison perhaps in a zoo, but not in the wild. Yeah, I mean, we have European bison as well, in the kind of area of like the border between Poland and Belarus. And I've seen them before as well, but they are, of course, smaller than their American cousins. What's the largest hoofed animal you've ever seen? Well, again, it's a hippopotamus, but not in the wild. Have I seen any really large hoofed animals in the wild. I don't know. Probably like in the wild would be something like a oh goodness. Why have I got? I had it in my head and I've completely forgotten. Um, I've got Shetland pony in my mind, but they're really small. I mean, those big horses, the big drake, the ones that pulled like the beer barrels. What are they called? Oh, I have to check. This is frustrating. Goodness. Thank goodness for Google. Yeah, it's the Shire horse, which is probably like the biggest one I've seen. Maybe like in its kind of natural habitat, i.e., in a field. I can't think of anything else. Yeah, I don't think so. It might come to me later, but yeah, I don't know. And do you have evidence that you live near coyotes? No, not here in Central Europe. However, I have evidence that I live currently not that far, but will live much closer in the future to wolves. So I'm sure Elvis will be pleased about that. Yeah, he's looking at me right now going, "You what?" um, so yes, yeah, Steve wouldn't allow English people to say foxes. I actually used to live in a house in a small close called Foxdown Close because it had loads of foxes living there. But as I say, they don't count. But wolves, yes, I have evidence of living near wolves, and I'm sure I saw one once in town very early morning, unless it was just a dog that took itself out for a walk. But it just was like 4 o'clock in the morning or something, and this very looking like creature walked like about, I don't know, a few yards or whatever in front of us. Luckily, Elvis didn't notice it and it didn't notice Elvis. So, but yeah, it was probably just a dog that had taken itself out for a walk, maybe, or got out of the garden. But it was quite large. So yeah, there we go. Number 4, old Doc Frye. What's your history with westerns, novels, TV, and movies? Yeah, so my history of westerns in terms of the books is actually quite recent history, going back to Junior on the Range last year. Um, so yeah, I haven't had huge experience with Western novels. TV and film, yes. On TV, I used to watch reruns of things like Bonanza, High Chaparral, um, Western, what else on TV recently? I suppose Deadwood, I enjoyed very much. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yes, when I was a kid, I loved a show, and please tell me if you remember this. It was from about 1983 to about 86 maybe, and it was an Australian Western called 5 Mile Creek. And I looked it up recently, and apparently it was based off a Louis L'Amour story or a Louis L'Amour book. I can't remember. And they just set it in Australia. And I always think Australia must be a kind of good um, alternative to the American West, perhaps. You can easily set. When I think of Ned Kelly, for example, I can think of him, and it kind of fits into me a little bit with the likes of Jesse James and people like that. So yeah, I'd be quite curious to know if there are any good Australian Western novels actually. But 5 Mile Creek was good, and I'd love to rewatch it. I only found the first episode on YouTube, so unfortunately not any of the others. But yeah, let me know if you remember that. And films, yeah, quite a few, loads actually. I used to love them. I used to love watching them in the afternoon. Loads by John Wayne and Lee Van Cleef and others. High Noon, of course, fantastic film. True Grit, both the John Wayne version and I really like the remake, the Jeff Bridges version. I thought that was great. Probably my favorite Western film of all time is Tombstone, but that's probably because it came out at the right time for me. I think it came out when I was like 14, and I just found it brilliant, and I think it's a great film. And then there are loads of others. I guess They Died with Their Boots On is a great film. Um, McClintock, The Magnificent Seven as well. I adore that film, the original. Yeah, so there's loads of them. I probably left a lot out, but there we go. Number five, Diamond Lil at the Rialto saloon. What's your relationship with alcohol? And have you ever had a friendship with a bartender? Yes, I've had several friendships with several bartenders and barmaids in my time. But my relationship to alcohol, yeah, I suppose it's a fairly complicated one in terms of I did overindulge a lot in my youth. Though recently I have been much better. Basically, since I got Elvis, you can count on both hands the number of times I've been out, like drinking. And that's usually because I have someone visiting me or someone else kind of drags me out. It's very difficult living in a country that alcohol is so prevalent, like it's everywhere. And we have bars that are called non-stops. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Beer can be cheaper than water. Well, maybe it can actually even be cheaper than tap water because a lot of bars actually charge you for tap water. But certainly, beer is cheaper than any mineral water or Coca-Cola or anything like that. So yeah, it's pretty good. And they do have terrible habits here of following beers with shots all the time, and it's very strong stuff. They have this Slivovitzer plum brandy, and all sorts of other things. Yeah, and my own relationship, as I say, it's been tricky. I always overindulged. I used to drink to excess. I found myself in some very embarrassing situations. I found myself where I didn't remember much about what happened the previous night. I've had a few accidents where I'd fallen down, hurt myself. I've actually got a kind of bump, and it feels like a hole in my head where I fell once. I walked down a dark alley here behind the back of the nightclub, or discotheque or whatever, and I didn't see one of those metal bicycle racks, and I literally fell right on it, smashed up my knee, hit my head really hard, and got a black eye. So yeah, it wasn't always the best relationship, but Elvis really made me change my habits because one, I think he fills the hole that perhaps I had before, where I felt maybe a bit lonely as a bachelor living on my own. So I might have gone out every Friday night, whereas I didn't need to because I had the companionship of Elvis, but also the fact that he has to get up and go out every day within a certain time frame. Anytime between kind of 4:45 and 6 o'clock, pretty much. That's the window I'm working with, and it doesn't matter to him if I'm hungover. It also doesn't matter to him if it's a holiday or anything like that. So I couldn't do that anymore. And as I get older as well, the recovery time is horrific. I did go out drinking not too long ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, because I had a friend visit me, and it was okay because I stuck only to beer, and we didn't do it too much. We were in bed before 1 o'clock, so that's saying something, definitely. And friendship with bartenders, yes, because I always made it my mission when I went and lived in a new country or a new town. Because as I say, I'm on my own. I don't move with a wife or a girlfriend or anything like that. So and when I came to this town, for example, and when I went everywhere else in the world, I never knew anyone there before. So I literally had to start from scratch. And the only way to make friends at first was to go out to the pub, and I'd go out to the pub by myself, and I'd sit there and I'd talk to the barmaids or to the bartender or whatever, and then other people at the bar would start talking to me, and they were, and I made many friends, lifelong friends through that, and I had some great friendships with bar staff in my life for sure, and I'm still in touch with several of them in different parts of the world, be it Germany, Japan, Hong Kong, and that's great. They're not all in the bar business anymore, but yeah. Sorry, I'm rambling on there, aren't I? Um, Next up, number six, The City Slicker from Back East. What do you consider the best Western you've ever read? Well, as I said, my experience with Westerns is very narrow, given that I only started reading them last year. I'm sure everybody's going to say Lonesome Dove, but that's my read for this year. But I love pretty much everyone I read last year. Um, I mean, Glendon Swartholt wrote two that I really enjoyed. One is The Shootist and the other is Old Colts. Both of those were fantastic. And then there was Valdez is Coming by Elmore Leonard, which I thought was also great bit of fun. And True Grit. True Grit maybe is probably the best Western I've read up to now. If I really have to choose one, it might be that one. And then I really enjoyed Hondo by Louis L'Amour as well, and also the original story, Gift of Cochise, which the film Hondo is based on, and then Hondo itself became a novelization of the film. So, yeah, there we go. Number 7, The Man with the Badge. Have you ever been in charge of other people? What's the most authority you've ever handled? Would you be good at it? Well, I'm a teacher. I'm in charge of loads of people. Every time I take a lesson, I'm in charge. Children count as people, right? Yeah, so I'm in charge of loads of people all the time. Am I good at it? I think so. I think problem is I tend to be quite soft. It takes a lot to really get me angry, and then people are really surprised when I do get angry. I don't like to blow my top or lose my cool, of course. It does happen from time to time because people and kids will look to push your buttons and push you a bit far, but it's very rare. So I like to think that I somehow get them to do what I need them to do. Whether or not they completely respect my authority, I'm not sure, because I think often they think of me in rather friendly terms. Because I'm a native English speaker at the school, I have a slightly different relationship to them. It's very hard to scold children or discipline them when you don't have a good grasp of their native language. And also, I'm one of the only teachers at school that is regularly called by their first name. So, it's very hard then. And I have kind of built up good rapport with the kids. So it's very difficult to exercise that authority. But I do think generally I'm not bad at it. And, I like to think that they do respect my authority. But yeah, maybe you'll have to ask them. Maybe some of them are watching and they'll write in the comments. Number 8, The Tombstone Kid. Have you ever fired a gun, been a gun aficionado, and been shot? Yeah, I fired just, I don't know, some. Not I don't know if I fired any real guns. I certainly fired some, BB guns or pellet guns, that kind of thing, cap guns. I used to love them as a kid. I'd play cowboys and Indians and cops and robbers, and I would act out the film Zulu and stuff like that, and I'd run around pretend shooting everything, of course. However, I don't like the idea of actually people having guns and normal people having guns, because, yeah, I don't like it, to be honest with you. So I'm not a huge aficionado of it. I did own a few real antique, flintlock pistols and things like that, and they're probably still at home. But they were disabled and couldn't really do any harm unless you dropped it on your foot or hit somebody over the head with that. Have I been shot? Well, yes, but only with paintballs, thankfully, or BBs or something like that. But thankfully, no, not with anything stronger. And number 9, it ain't the bullet that gets you, it's the fall. How would you ideally like to cash in your chips? Well, yeah, I mean, like Steve says, I suppose like a lot of young men, when I was younger, I suppose there was some, perhaps I glorious ideas of dying with your boots on in defense of Queen and country and that kind of thing, perhaps, especially given that I used to watch and read a lot of historical novels and films set around the British Empire and all that kind of thing. Of course, now I definitely wouldn't want to die for king and country. And sadly, my relationship with my own country is very complicated at the moment, given certain political changes, and I'm not a huge monarchist at all, yeah, so certainly not that way. I don't think. I think if it was doing something heroic, yes, still, I suppose it wouldn't be so bad. You know, saving children or whatever, you know, something like that. I like to think I wouldn't think twice in that situation. Certainly Elvis, you know, I would do anything to rescue him from any bad situation, but thankfully, hopefully that doesn't arise. I guess ideally, to be honest with you, the way I see it now, I would really ideally love to pass away in having lived in reasonably good health to the ripe old age of like 120, and to be the last person I know still around. You know, to have outlived everybody that I know, and then have a feeling of having won. No, but I think, yeah, I think something like that would be fine. The thing is, I don't fear death itself. I'm not sure I really fear dying. I'm not keen on pain, so I would prefer something painless. But I have massive FOMO, and that for me is the cruelty of us having to end our lives. The idea that the world is going to continue on without me, and things are going to happen, and I'm not going to know about it. You know, I want to, ideally, I want to see how it all ends. You know, I want to be there at the end. But hopefully that's not for many, many, many more years, yeah. But I don't know. That's what upsets me. Of course, it's a stupid thing to say because I wouldn't know either way, and the world, of course, existed for billions of years without me, and I'm sure it's just going to be the same situation once I'm no longer here. But when I think about it now, that's what gets me. You know, the idea that I'm going to miss out on everything. You know, sadly, you know, Tina Turner passed away yesterday. And I was thinking, you know, the thing is, of course, the world just carries on. And you notice, like, it doesn't matter how rich or famous you are, it catches up with everybody. And, you know, the sad thing is, yeah, it's like when you lose these people, when you lose anybody, the world changes, of course, a little bit, doesn't it? You know, whether it's an individual loss, the world has changed for you. Whether it's a shared famous person that's lost, the world's different. It's no longer a place. You know, we're living in a world without David Bowie, or without Queen Elizabeth II, or without Tina Turner, you know, and all these people. The world is not the same as it was, of course, 20 years ago. It's a completely different place. You know, there's a world now where, you know, Michael Jackson, for better or worse, doesn't exist, right? He did, but he doesn't, you know. And the thing is, we remember these people, and that's yeah, that's the sad thing. As we ourselves get older, that's the harsh thing. When I see these people from, you know, my childhood and stuff start going, that's what makes it difficult. Anyway, that's far too deep. So I want to tag some people. Steve says tag 10. I don't think I can really manage that. But as I mentioned, Deadwood, I have to tag Shelley Swearingen. I will tag also Very Literary Carrie, Miss Reads a Lot, Revenant Reads, and Grix, etc. as well. And I think that will be it from me in terms of the tagging. So thank you so much for watching. Do take care, everybody, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.